We should see who's here. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending our webinar today on JFrog ML. Today, we're going to be actually discussing basically what JFrog ML is and why JFrog decided to pursue this and why we are so different than any other ML product in the market, especially in the MLOps space. Joining me today, I am Bill Manning, just so you guys know, or William Manning, depending on who you're talking to. I am a senior solution architect here at JFrog. Been with JFrog for almost 8 years. Of course, you can see my little bio on the side over here, and I'm also joined by Guy. Guy, say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Great meeting you, and good morning or good evening, depending where you are. I'm Guy, and I've been leading the product at JFrog ML for the past couple of years, doing everything from LA, AI, LLMs, GenAI, whatever is needed. And happy to be here today with you.
Excellent. I'm so happy to be here too. So I recently joined the team about 2 months ago, and it was very exciting times. Especially, I mean, everybody knows what's going on. Of course, the market took a hit the other day with DeepSeek coming out, and we're going to talk today about why it's important. And of course, we know all the numbers, right? 2023 they came out and said, a lot of companies, and let's face it, this is actually going to be different now, right? I mean, the thing is that almost every application out there today has some sort of AI or some sort of machine learning associated to it. It's not anything new. It's just become more prominent. We see this more and more every day. And the thing is, you're asking yourself, well, JFrog, you guys are the binary management people. You guys are the software supply chain people, this kind of thing. Why? And the thing is that, addressing this is a very easy solution. 90% of applications that'll be out there on the market will have some sort of ML integration. Some of it will be not as, will be a little bit more intrusive, AI assistance, things like that. Other things will be just more customization, personalization, more interaction. It depends, right? There's so many different levels in which ML can really make a difference in applications. And one of the problems, though, that companies are facing, of course, we've talked about this in the past. We did a demo last month, and today will be a little bit different. Today is going to be a reason why this is happening. Last month, I did a demo of the actual platform itself. You can go back and see that. We have it on our YouTube page. But one of the things we like to emphasize is the fact that it's actually gone up from here. Almost 90% of most of these do not make it to production, right? And that's the thing, is why. And when you look at that, you kind of think to yourself, there must be different approaches. There might be something that's better, or what can you do to make an impactful difference? And with JFrog, you got to remember, we are the DevOps people, the DevSecOps people, and now we're taking on ML. Why? Well, there's a parallel between the two, right? And that's the thing that we recognize. And most companies today, when you look at it, right, you have development, you have testing, you have some sort of CI/CD, you're monitoring, you get a learning, you're making sure things are secure. With ML, you're doing, things, you're getting your data, you're training it, you're refining it, you're building the model, you're deploying the model, all the things that you know about ML. I'm not going to go into the, all the details of what ML is, because if you're here, you know what it is, or you're learning about it. And when you look at what we do, bringing the two together is really the unifying approach. And the thing is, most companies are looking at it this way too. They're like, well, ML should have, MLOps, and MLOps sounds like DevOps, and well, that sounds like very similar, and they are. There are parallelisms between them. And when you think about it that way, we said this is the approach that JFrog should take. And the thing is that our ML product came from the amazing people that in our acquisition last year of Quack, and Guy was one of them. And I couldn't be happier to have everybody that is part of that company be part of the team and part of the company. It's a wonderful thing. But the thing is bringing in that level of experience with our DevOps experience and who we are as a company was the right choice. And when we looked at things, you look at the parallels between the flows, of application development and the flows of ML development, and the fact that there actually is symbiotic nature between the two, especially now, whether it's a web service, whether it's an mobile application, whether it's an IoT device, whether it's your TV or whatever. This has all now become part of it. So when you look at the differences, you have code, and code creates apps, and apps need dependencies to create those apps. You package them up together, you deploy them, and you serve them. Well, it's very similar in ML, right? You get the raw data sources, you have feature stores, you do a model pipeline, you test it, you do all these things, and you monitor it, right? It's all very similar. And the thing is that one of the key factors here, and we'll talk about, is the fact that with application development, when you look at application development, you look at ML development, and because they're symbiotic, they should be treated as releases, where even in our product, we have a thing called a release bundle, which allows you to pull together various types where you could say you're deploying a web application for your users. You could package up the Helm charts, the Docker containers that actually host that, Terraform templates as a single release. Well, now you can integrate that ML model too, because if you have that ML and say a Docker image as part of that service, you could wrap them together and deploy them to where they need to be as a singular approach, like we do with our platform. If you want, go check out more information about distribution and release bundles and all that inside of our JFrog YouTube page. Also, I've done plenty of talks on this and the importance, even down to things like evidence in regulated industries. And the other side of this is, well, why us, right? And when we started, we were the software supply chain people. That's what we are, right? We manage all the supply of, the libraries you use to make your builds, the builds themselves, all the components, anything that is for a piece of software, non-dependent of its usage. And when you look at it, you code, you build, you deploy, you have compliance, and you have security. Well, of course, when we look at the parallelisms here, it's the same kind of concepts, the same kind of ideas. You have your data, your model, you deploy it, right? You monitor it, and it's this constant iterative cycle. And the thing is that our platform, the JFrog platform, was ripe for this kind of implementation for ML and for companies to utilize ML development and application development in the same unified approach. And the reason why we also did this is that when we started doing this, this is the landscape of DevOps. And when we look at the landscape of DevOps, we also pulled in this universal approach. And we were like, okay, there's a million tools out there to do the job, whether you're doing coding or knowledge sharing or building, right? And CI and VCS and whatever. There's all these tools out there, and most companies are looking to go ahead and consolidate, unify, take a more platform engineering approach, right? And these are things where we excel. We released a report last year, a couple of years ago, a TI report, where it showed a 393% ROI within 6 months of implementing us as a single point solution for your application level development. And when we look at what's going on in the ML landscape, it's the same kind of idea. The whole idea is that there's tools for everything, whether it's your notebooks, like using Jupyter or things like that, experiment tracking. You might have a ML flow. You might go over and do some feature platforms that are out there, right? Be able to do model registries in a separate place and model deployments in another place. It becomes just overwhelming. And it's the same thing that we saw in the DevOps landscape too. And now with MLOps, you look at the same thing. And the problem is how do you trace this? How do you keep everything up to date? How do you make sure that everything is interacting? There's so many moving cogs and pieces. And we said, this is the approach that they had with DevOps. Let's bring that same level of approach over to MLOps also. So JFrog ML is the key factor here in what we're introducing as part of the platform. It actually leverages all the pieces of the JFrog platform to do what it does. And the thing is this makes it amazing. And it's MLOps, it's LLMOps, it's got the feature store. We'll talk about these in an upcoming webinar when we dive into. Last month, we did an overview of JFrog ML, and we're going to touch on all the various pinpointing accurate things inside of the JFrog platform where the JFrog ML can truly leverage this. But let's go through where this counts and why it counts. And if you're not familiar with us, this will be a good overview of our platform. If you are familiar with us, you can get the ideas of why this is important. So first of all, the JFrog software supply chain platform is amazing, right? It has all these various components, and we're going to go into a little, not terrible detail, but a little bit of detail on all the pieces here. And the important thing to remember is that this platform is designed to enable the ability for companies to build applications, to ensure their safety and security, to deploy them with accuracy, to constantly go out and work with them and ensure that everything is safe, secure, and compliant and accountable. And the thing is that we need to start off with JFrog Artifactory. It's the cornerstone of our company, right? It's the reason why JFrog is here. We started in 2008. And the thing is that it's not just that if you're not familiar with who we are and you're here for the ML to see how we do things, JFrog Artifactory is the choice for over 8,000 global corporations that are building software. Think about that. A majority of the Fortune 100 uses Artifactory for its software development, the third-party transit dependency management, the build management, the ability to have teams all over the world globally, non-dependent on how it's being hosted, if it's in the cloud, whether it's being managed by us, whether it's in your own data center. It allows a unified approach. I always like to say it's a conveyor belt for all software development. Raw materials come in and finished products go out. And the thing is that being able to replicate user management, it's an amazing product. And let's face it, 8,000 plus corporations chose this as their centrifuge, the centralized piece, the main component of their software development. So in MLOps development, it makes sense, right? When you have it, the Python packages, the CRAN packages, you use to do your development of your models and anything that you do. Hugging Face, if you're using Hugging Face for third-party, models, you can go ahead and proxy those. Think about the size, the pure size of these. Now, remember, Artifactory, if you're not familiar, uses a checksum-based approach for its actual binary management. So any of these things that come in that are a massive scale, the way we built it, we never duplicate. So if you're bringing in terabyte models into Artifactory to store, so you can have a baseline of the models themselves, meaning that when you version them, or if you go ahead pull a new one in, you're only bringing in the deltas. So this allows you to retain, first of all, not have to constantly download, especially if you say you have 1,000, say data scientists, or even 10 data scientists. Each one of those would have to bring down that terabyte model. Well, in this case, you could store it in Artifactory and they pull from there. It actually makes things easier and also allows you to retain a version if you need a baseline. Also, too, when it comes to hosting, say you're hosting this image, this service, whatever your ML service is, maybe in Kubernetes. Well, you can store the Docker images, the OCI images. We'll be showing soon, if you're doing any work with, say, NVIDIA, you'll be able to use NIMs, right? So we're going to have a NIMs repository for those. Also, too, Helm charts. When it comes to Helm charts for deploying these services, you can manage them there for scalability. We're actually governance board members of the Cloud Data Foundation, and actually one of the co-creators of Helm is actually an employee of JFrog. So you have this. His name is Remus. He's a great dude. And then on top of that, the thing is that this allows you to keep that all together. And now we've introduced a machine learning repository recently into the product for this kind of dedicated solution, right? So the thing is that not everybody's going to be using Hugging Face. Other companies will be using their own data sets or however they go to do it to build their model and do train. Well, this allows you to go in and have a local repository. If you're familiar with, we have local, remote, and virtual, a local repository. We have a FrogML SDK, which I'm going to be talking about at the end, that allows you to interact with this. So allows you to go ahead and train and do production and all that inside of Artifactory. It allows you to do versioning. This is a big deal. Being able to look at the versions, and we do things arbitrarily by a date timestamp. So it's very accurate down to the second. But also too, you can version it yourself if you'd like to. Also too, you get to take advantage of all the parts of Artifactory and the platform that are there. Promotion, being able to actually go ahead and create an image, say with this in it, and be able to promote it through, from dev to QA to staging, however you want to do it, right? Being able to actually federate it. So if you have multiple locations, say US and Asia, and you have somebody in EMEA, South America, and they have Artifactory instances in every location, means you can replicate between them. So you're not relying on some sort of bucket somewhere or whatever. This is real. You can have a real time or batch, being able to share that. Think about that. You can now have global ML development, which utilizes all this stuff that we use for application development for companies. It's unprecedented. Where other tools are point solutions that people can utilize, in our case, you get to leverage with your ML development all the amazing things we've built for the top software in the world. I mean, we have, the thing is, as the company, we are the paramount of what exactly the software development tools should be. So going from there, you also get to leverage our security. We are a CNA. We have a massive research team, and we built our security product. We call it JFrog Security for different levels of things to protect your organization. Once again, being able to give your developers the tools, data scientists the tools, right? And engineering and MLOps engineers, but being able to make sure that it's safe and secure and compliant. The thing is that the MLOps stuff right now reminds me of a lot of the early days of DevOps and the development, right? Basically, pulling in stuff from the outside world without validation checking. A lot of people did this before us when it came to third-party transit dependencies. And as we've seen in previous talks that I've given and others have given in the industry, the increase in supply chain attacks has gone up year over year. ML, is very ripe for this. There's already malicious packaging. There's already things that we're looking at in terms of that. So first of all, you have curation. Curation is lefter than left, as I make the joke. Picture it as like a firewall for your organization that lets you write rules and policies that ensure that any request outbound, and this includes things like Hugging Face, are safe, secure, and compliant based on rules that you write. Does it contain vulnerabilities or malicious packages? Is there a license compliance issue? Also, too, we have a thing called operational risk. How old or outdated are things, right? So maybe you only want to bring in things that are nothing older than a year old. You have JFrog X-Ray. X-Ray is our continuous scanning component. It's inherently baked into the way Artifactory and X-Ray work. You write rules and policies in the same way you would for curation, but these are for things that are inside. So say there is a 0-day that comes out, our system can not only tell you you are being affected by that, but also too where you're being affected by it. Because we know, because if you push all your builds into Artifactory, we actually map how things are being used and utilized between builds and other orchestrations. Now, the problem is, though, there's a big problem. There are so many CVEs out there that are affecting you. How do you delineate through the deluge of potential threats? So we introduced advanced security. Now, advanced security has one of my favorite features in the whole world. It's called contextual analysis, and I'll show you an example of that in a bit. But contextual analysis says, is the actual security issue that you're facing or being told you have actually affecting you? Are the conditions being met? And we will tell you whether or not you should truly worry about a CVE based on the evaluation criteria of the CVE itself. But we also look for things like secrets. You'd be surprised how many secrets we find in when we've scanned Docker images outside in the outside world, right? I mean, we scanned I think a couple million, I think 4.2 million Docker images off Docker Hub, and we found that 81% of them had some sort of secret embedded in them in weird places. Also, application and service level exposures. Are you using TLS? Well, yeah, you're not configured correctly. Even things like infrastructure as code for Terraform. So say you are deploying these models into a infrastructure to host in Kubernetes, we can actually go ahead and let you know, right, that the thing is that you use a Terraform template to do this, and say the Terraform template is not configured correctly, you could be potentially threatening exposure. And we also have runtime security, meaning that we've embedded it in to Kubernetes, and we can even tell you from when something came in to also it's running in production now. I'm not going to go into great detail on this. But this means that when we went out and we started scanning, we scanned over now, by the way, just to let you know, this number has actually gone up to 1.6 million Hugging Face actual models that we've actually found. And when we scanned initially, just to get started on this 480K, we found that 60 plus contain malicious behaviors, that some contain some sort of malware. It's unbelievable. And this is between Kaggle and Hugging Face. But the thing is now we've actually gone ahead and we've scanned 1.6 million of these. And that allows you to ensure, and I'll show you later on, a developer experience just quickly where I'm actually querying this data that we've captured in a thing called catalog. And then I can actually say, I want to use something like a model or a Python package. Can I use it based on rules and policies that were set by my security team to ensure that I'm not bringing something potentially malicious in? And let's talk about this. Machine learning and AI, if it's malicious, can be scary. So the thing is that when we look at the frameworks, most of the frameworks over the years don't do a lot of things. They'll do training and evaluation, experiment and all that. but how do you, these are all the potential ways in which your ML can be attacked, and we're actually making it so that you can be safe and secure and compliant to find out things like, is there malicious packages inside? Is there any vulnerabilities inside? Does this meet my company's license compliance? Is it maintained? These are things that we get asked all the time, is like, can you help us with this? With the JFrog platform, you can. And the thing is that because of the way things are being treated in Artifactory, means you get to leverage the speed, accuracy, and efficiency of the things that we do, even down to model behavior, right? Being able to go in and search these, and I'll show you some examples of that right now, actually. So if I go in and I take a look at, say, something, I'm going to log into the JFrog platform here, and once it comes up, if we take a look, you can see in our catalog, we have 1.6 million scanned. We've also got, 600, almost 630,000 Python packages. We have NPM, and we're soon going to have CRAN and others. But the thing is that when you take a look here, you can see here's a Hugging Face model. If I click into it, I can actually show you that, first of all, there is actually a malicious package in here, and when I have my policies that I've written, in this case for my organization, this is actually not recommended. It is blocked, and I can get all the information I can. So once again, safety and security is a paramount feature that we've always been talking about at the JFrog platform, and now it's been extended out down to MLOps. And this even includes the ability for you as, say, a developer. I'm actually going to go ahead and switch screens for a quick sec. And I'm going to show you is the fact that I can go ahead and even do this down to the IDE level. And I can go ahead and actually even query using Copilot in this case, because I'm doing development in Copilot, but I can go ahead and say, hey, can I go ahead and use this actual Hugging Face model right here? And this is going to go out to my system and saying, well, actually, no, it's not recommended because there is actually a violation in this. Or say I want to use, say, something like PyTorch, which versions of PyTorch, actually have vulnerabilities that could affect me as an organization. These are all real-time things that you can do, even down to, tell me about, like, let's see, can I use a specific version, right? Can I use like Log Guru, Log Guru, in my organization? And this will actually tell me, yeah, you know what, you can, and actually it's already being utilized by one member of your team. And oh, wait, it does have a CVSS score. Well, tell me about the CVSS score. Well, how does it affect me? This helps expedite the way that developers operate and find out what they can use and what they can't. And the thing is that by leveraging this really allows you to move forward as an org and make the best experience possible for your actual developers themselves. Oops, hold on, I get back to my thing. The next piece is distribution, getting your actual builds out to where they belong, right? Being able to publish them and be able to put them out there. We already do this for web services, for vehicles, you name it. We actually distribute software. Why not utilize the same thing? Being able to do it in your cloud, cross-cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid, to your customers even. You can give them edge nodes, and they can take those edge nodes and use it like Artifactory so they can pull in the models if you want to supply them. There's a lot of things you can do, and it's far-reaching approaches here. JFrog Connect, our IoT platform. Say you have devices out there that have some sort of ML built into them. This allows you to take them and distribute them out to those devices, all in a unified approach. And then lastly, of course, JFrog ML, which leverages all of this. And you can utilize this as part of the organization, giving you the best possible approach. But so with JFrog ML, you get to use all the coolest things out there, right? So first of all, it's feature store. You can define your, tune. You can do training and fine tuning. The data ingestion, model monitoring, model serving, vector store, all the stuff we've talked about and demoed in the past. And now it's integrated into JFrog. Right? Which means you get to utilize this as your model registry. You get to do model scanning. And right now, by the way, we are scanning, these, and I'll show you an example of that in a second. But also, too, we are going to be introducing model scanning. We'll do a whole separate talk on that when that's available. We're going to also introduce ML bomb, right, and machine learning bomb materials. You know me, if you seen my talks before, you know that for a long time, I've been known as the S-bomb guy, right? I'm the software build materials guy. I'm the guy that did the first talk on it. I presented it at Swamp Up, numerous places, numerous times. Well, ML bomb is going to be the thing next, right? Finding out what is the sauce inside, what are the ingredients, what was used, or all these kind of various things that are going to be something this, a necessity. The way in which SBOM was a regulation and a regulatory component, ML bomb will be the same thing. Basically, being able to have all the dependencies, the containers, all the things that you leveraged in Artifactory and the JFrog platform before is now going to be part of the solution that you can do when you're working with your ML development, right? So you have your application and your ML development in parallel. And the thing is that by unifying this all together and utilizing this really allows you to go ahead and leverage security from the developer level all the way up, right? Being able to do all the fine tuning, the experiment tracking, model serving, vector store, all that stuff. Being able to maintain and monitor and manage your third-party transit dependencies in Python. Being able to look at your Docker images, right, when you're doing this. Being able to store in the Helm charts to deploy the web services that rely on the ML or deploy the ML. Being able to cache these, being able to utilize our ML repository. And the thing is that when you look at this, let's go take a look, right? So if you look here, it says JFrog ML. And when I click on that, that brings you over into the ML product, right? Now, in this case, this is a fresh instance, which I've actually been utilizing now. I've got a couple of things in here we've deployed in terms of models. Doesn't have a lot of data right now. That's okay. I'll show you when I actually have one right over here. If I went into this one, I'll just show you, like, here's a real-time churn model. I'll bring up, say, the last month and just let you see, right? You can see all the, like, this is live data, where you can see things, like your median response, error percentages, throughput over time, error rates, latency, even memory and CPU utilization, right? So this is stuff that, we bring. But one of the other things behind it too is that we have the concept of a build. Now, the thing is that to get to this part here as a developer, I would utilize well, right now it still says Quack, but it will be the FrogML SDK, which I'll talk about, and I'll talk about right now. Right, so we'll just talk about this for a second. The SDK allows you to go in and take your model and actually implement and be able to use the JFrog ML platform. And that means you can do things like uploading a model, downloading a model, getting information on a model. Being able to implement this in a way to have it so that you can either use it in the JFrog ML product or use the use the ML repo. The formatting is easy, but the thing is, I'll show you, is that as part of this, you get the ability to go ahead and create a build, and you can version those builds. Say you want to go ahead and do a test, but when you look at the build here, you can see like your parameters that you're looking at, your accuracy, all the things that you want in terms of tracking. And by the way, we are going to be introducing a separate tab here for experiment tracking in the future. And say I want to deploy this model, I can go ahead and make it as simple as possible. These are the things that we talk about in the standard demo, right? Being able to do GPU deployments, being able to go ahead and do CPU, and do you want to replace it? Do you want to do a shadow? Do you want to do, right now this is a real-time model. Do you want to do a batch, right? Being able to actually look at the deployments that you have. The thing is that when you look at the build, when you go in here, you can see the code. Remember I talked about the whole idea of security. If I go into security here, you can see that this is one of the things that we've introduced from the previous version of what we've done, which is the fact is I can look at the serving image for this actual, in this case, my real-time churn. I can click on here, and this will bring me over. Oh, I timed out, so give me a second here. Let me go log in. But this will actually allow me to go in and look at all the vulnerabilities that are inside here. Remember, I talked about the fact of being able to delineate through. Here's 162 vulnerabilities. And I can tell you that when I look here, that out of all that 162, these are the only ones that I need to focus on. because this is our contextual analysis. It's letting me know that these CVEs are directly affecting me, and it allows me to have a form of remediation. It lets me know where the issue is happening so I can address it. I also could tell you that there are a ton of secrets in here. There's plain text API keys, hard coded secrets. And we tell you, what does it mean? What can you do about it? Where is it? These are things that you need to go and address. Also, too, is the application being hosted correctly? In this case, if you look, this one's using an insecure cryptographic algorithm. These are things that we bring into prominence, so this way you can produce the best ML, models that you can with the highest level of compliance, highest level of security, and on top of that, be able to have even down to things like software bill of materials, and eventually we'll have ML bill of materials. So this is another key differentiator between us and others in the market, because I can even go in here, I can click on this churn model inside of Artifactory, and I could show you all the information behind it, when it was produced, how it was produced. Here's its own X-ray information on how it was scanned. I can label and tag things inside of it using all the metadata that we have in Artifactory to make it queryable and actionable. You can attach evidence. I love evidence. I gave a class on it in our Swamp Up last year. The idea of being able to have regulatory to associate things to it, signatures, sign-offs, anything that you need in your regulation, you can attach to the build so that you have that accountability aspect. You can also go ahead and see, what builds were produced it. In this case, this is not active right now. And then the other side of this, you can even follow this and say, I want to know if somebody's uploaded. I want to know if somebody's downloaded. So and say, hey, don't use that model. Use a different one because we're not using that one anymore. And the thing is that when you go in here and you have just those pieces, those components, these are differentiators between us and our competition, because it's not just one thing, it's many things, right? It's being able to actually go ahead. Like I said, if you want to go ahead and if something has been deployed and you want to see it, you can actually I can go back here. Let's go look at the models. Let's go look at the real time. Let's look at the builds again. And here's one that was deployed. So when I look at the deploy, I can show you things like the log files and how it was built in every segment, when we how we provisioned it, what was the build function, what tests were run, things like that. That's all right here. But I can also tell you, yeah, this thing has been deployed. Here's how it's been deployed. Here's how it's actually in production right now, right? When I want to look at this, so I can see this is here, when it happened, how it happened, the size of it. Do I need to increase the size? I can actually even go in here and see the resources, right? These are things that we've had where you can see optimization behind it. And then, of course, the definition. This is very similar to our build info, the way we do build info inside of Artifactory. So the thing is if you've been leveraging us for these things, it's just a natural extension of what we do as a platform, now bringing all that power of the platform to you as an organization. Your parallelism between your application development and also too on the other side of this, being able to have the ability for you to make better cognitive decisions in the ML, which are symbiotic. And being able to give your teams, your application developers that already are utilizing this, but also being able to bring that same level of information to your developers of your data scientists that are out there. Like in this case, I'm using, I've got let's see here. I can go ahead and just show you. Right, I've got I've got like say a model that I'm doing. Right, I can always go in and look at my model. You can see that in this case, I've got Quack. I'm introducing, I'm using the SDK here to load it up. Once I go in and make this change, make it nice and easy. Right, here's my model. You can see, where we have the different functions. I can introduce, like the Quack API, so I have the interaction and all that. And then if I want to upload it, I just simply go ahead and use the Quack SDK. I log in and configure it to talk to my instance. And then I can just go ahead and publish this build up into JFrog ML, and all the magic starts to take place, make it easier. But also, too, what's great is okay, so this one doesn't have I didn't get a chance to scan this one, but I'll show you another instance that I have where I'm actually scanning. And if we go in here, you can see where, I can show you is there any malicious packages as even an application developer, right? Or a data scientist where I have a CVE here for a library I'm using, but it's not applicable. Being able to go ahead and make my job easier because I have the information where it matters most, which is in my hands as a developer. And being able to say, you know what, hey, you know what, let's go take a look at this. Oh, yeah, look, in this case, I could see in my code here, there's actually an issue. So let's go back, and I noticed that the webinar will be ending soon. Let me get back here. But I wanted today to really, the idea was the opportunity to show you that when you go ahead and you utilize what we do as a company, is I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now, actually, is the fact that you get to utilize not only JFrog ML, which is absolutely brilliant, but the thing is, you get to utilize the lineage of what JFrog is, and you get to use our platform and the way that we built it and designed it for application development, now for ML development, which in my opinion shouldn't be segmented, because the thing is that let's face it, every application, web service, vehicle, everything has some sort of ML component behind it. And now being able to utilize, like I said, that same conveyor belt that you use for software development, now for ML development, be able to trace it, track it, have evidence behind it, be able to give it a life cycle that it deserves in conjunction with the application life cycle is something that I don't think any other solution in the market has. And that's our key differentiator. I'm sorry I took up a lot of the time, Guy, but anything you want to also say in addition?
So, not going to have other words. I got 3 minutes and 28 seconds, but I just want to talk a bit about the future of JFrog ML and JFrog. So, first, we're almost GA. We're going to be rolling soon the GA of JFrog ML, giving access to all customers. And currently, we're operating in SaaS mode. So, if you're using Artifactory or the JFrog platform in SaaS, you could use JFrog ML. However, we are working on the self-hosted version of this. So in a couple of months, hopefully soon, you'll be able to also enjoy everything that Bill described also on your servers on-prem. And we get this request by many enterprises. I think especially now the whole DeepSeek kind of craze also kind of primed this discussion around having your own GPUs, your own servers for training and for inference. And I think in AI specifically, it's going to be a real game changer that you can use your own kind of infrastructure, your own clusters and servers to run everything on JFrog, also utilizing JFrog ML. And then that's kind of farther in the future, but we're going to be introducing a lot more features around GenAI. So we want to tie in everything together. So we have artifact from traditional software, we have the new kind of ML stuff, and we have the cutting edge generative AI stuff that I think DeepSeek even highlights it even more. You're going to have tons of models. You're going to be changing all the time. Maybe in a week, we'll get the DeepSeek #2 coming from a different party.
Mm.
You won't want the ability to test it in a verifiable, trusted way. And we're thinking about all this, allowing you everything in one place, connected to your entire kind of supply chain in a verifiable way that you currently use. So that's kind of just priming on the future, I guess.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Guy, and thank you everybody for joining us. I'm very excited about this. Like I said, come join us next month. We'll be making this a recurring thing. Next month, I'll be presenting probably the new integration and also some examples. This isn't going to be your standard monthly demo. What we're going to be doing is every month we'll be talking about new features, new capabilities, new examples, real world examples, and you can watch the progression of how all the new features come about. I'm excited about this. Like I said, I've been with the company for a long time, and I think that this next version of what we're doing, the next leap, as we say, embrace soaring for 2025, is really true. The thing is that you can't avoid ML. Right? It's going to be there. And the majority of the companies we talk to already use our solution. We're just a great natural extension. And next month, we'll have some more exciting things to show you and a deeper dive into it. But I wanted to show you today why I believe, and I think the industry will agree, our application level skills that we've brought to all these corporations globally are now going to be available to you in the ML world. And I think it's a wonderful thing, because remember, AI and ML can be a little dangerous. So why not make sure you have all the safeties in place? And we can help in our way, which is make sure that you're doing your best job without having to worry about the minutia of all the garbage that's associated to everything else. So let us manage that for you. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Be safe, be wonderful, be well. Thank you guys so much for your
All right,
support.
thank you.
Cheers, everyone.